Iron Man, iron ore, iron ingot, iron. There are many uses for iron. It is used in ship hulls, automobiles, surgical instruments, and when combined with another metal, it becomes stainless steel, which is very common. First, hematite has to be mined. Limestone and coke, which is carbon, is also needed for this process. Then, the hematite, limestone, and coke are added into something called a blast furnace. Then, the coke burns in the hot air that is pumped into the furnace, producing carbon dioxide. This is the main source of heat for this process. Then, the limestone decomposes and produces calcium oxide and calcium dioxide so that the impurities inside the ore turns into slag. The carbon dioxide reacts with the coke, producing carbon monoxide. The carbon monoxide reduces the iron oxide that the hematite contains and turns it to iron. This process turns the carbon monoxide into carbon dioxide due to it oxidizing with the iron oxide. The temperature is hot enough to melt the iron, and the iron can be tapped off in liquid form. The carbon dioxide is then released as waste gas. The slag from before is also tapped off and can be used to make roads. Problems caused by this process are noise pollution. This disturbs the organisms living in the area. Air pollution. This process releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Land loss. Mining for iron ore causes this. Slag dumping. Sometimes slag isn't used for making roads, but just dumped instead. When recycling iron, it is very similar to most metals. First, scrap pieces of iron has to be collected and then sorted. Then, they are crushed into smaller sizes to reduce the space they take up. The steel can be melted. The molten metal needs to be purified using a process called electrolysis before being able to be used further. First, in a container, there is the molten iron and it conducts electricity. Please ignore the labels on the video. Then, two copper electrodes are put in. The positive is called an anode and the negative is called a cathode. The anode is connected to a battery, which makes it positive. The cathode is, however, connected to a rheostat, which makes it negative. The positive charge ions move towards the cathode and the negative charge ions move towards the anode because positive attracts negative and vice versa. The pure iron has now been extracted. and can be used for other things. Recycling iron means that less energy is used because it takes much more energy to extract iron from raw materials rather than recycling. In 2012, around 88% of steel was recycled in the US. Less land is lost because ores aren't being mined. The air doesn't get as polluted because the extraction process isn't happening. No slag is being dumped because no slag is being produced from recycling. Recycling steel saves enough energy to power 18 million households for a year. Recycled iron's quality could also change because each time it is reused, the quality is decreased. Recycling metal also creates fewer jobs because more people are needed to extract the iron, but less people are needed to recycle it. Gathering the materials cost a lot and require a lot of time. The recycling process is much more efficient than the extraction process because it has many more advantages and a lot less disadvantages. Environmentally, as stated before, the recycling process really helps a lot because there will be much less air pollution, noise pollution, land loss, and less slag dumping because the extraction process isn't happening over and over again, but instead the metal keeps on getting recycled and then reused. Therefore, we do not need to keep on mining for new raw materials and extract the pure iron from the ores again, but preserve it and use whatever we've mined already, recycle it, and use it again until the quality has deteriorated a lot. This will guarantee that we do not use up all of our iron supplies in a very short time. Comparing the extraction and recycling process to another metal, the pros and cons are very similar. The extraction process requires a lot of energy and do not really benefit the environment very much. The recycling process, however, requires only a small fraction of the initial energy used to extract it from the raw material, uses less time and much less money, but it releases some toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. The quality of the metal after recycling sometimes does not change at all, and if it has changed, it would only be a very small change. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned something new.